Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And let's get started with this program. Good morning. Glad to have you in the house. Let's talk cars. Speaking of cars, Ford Motor Company is at it again. And I say again because what they're doing now is they're going to come out with a vehicle that is similar to, if not, and I haven't seen the prototype yet, to match or equal what the little Wrangler Jeep does for us all. And the Wrangler Jeep is such a common, I really didn't have an idea. And I'm looking at Fabio here as we speak, but Fabio, this past week, 3 weeks ago, we had a Jeep in. And it belonged to the son of one of our regular clients. And he came in and he wanted to change, he had it jacked up, so he had to change the length of the rear drive shaft and the transfer case, and he bought a kit. And we said, okay, we'll install it for you. The next day, another Jeep came in, and then another. I think the word got out that week. Now, understand, we don't work on Jeeps a lot. We had 4 Jeeps in the house. We still have one of them in the house, and It's so interesting because, folks, there's not a nut, screw, or bolt that you can't find for a Jeep. This week, we had to replace the dash gauge cinder unit. We did, with a new tank, we did. And then the tank didn't read right. Well, it was the dash unit. And we replaced the dash fuel gauge and repaired it. Unbelievable. What's unbelievable is that it's St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day, although that wasn't his name when I come back.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have the money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. For example, heater core leaks are an expensive repair and can cost up to $1,000. These sorts of leaks often happen on vehicles that really aren't worth the price of the repair. Your choice is to spend the money or junk the car. Now, there's a third option, K-Seal. Older sealers use sodium silicate, and while it may stop the leak, it may also clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair leaking heater cores without clogging. It's a simple repair. Just shake the container, mix the contents completely, add K-Seal to the radiator directly when the vehicle is cool, and then drive the car until the leak is sealed. Important to remember that when working on a cooling system, never remove a radiator cap while the vehicle's hot. Pressure and heat can be dangerous. Avoid a coolant leak casualty? Try K-Seal. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you're guaranteed to get the everyday low prices on a part that you need. Their guarantee is that you'll get the low prices, and that ensures that you're always getting the best deal. In fact, O'Reilly Auto Parts will match any local auto parts store's price on any like item. Think about it. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So as I said at the open of the show there, just at the very tail end of the show, and I'll ask you, in fact, I'm not going to tell this. I'm going to ask the audience, what was Patrick's real name? It wasn't Patrick. So that's it. And don't look it up, Fabio. So everybody now is going on the internet, of course, to look this up, you know. But it's really some fun facts about St. Patrick and maybe some activities that I can share with you that'll teach you a little more. He was born in Roman Britain. He was kidnapped into slavery and brought to Ireland. He escaped to a monastery in Gaul, France, and converted to Christianity. He went back to Ireland in 432 as a missionary, and while Christianity had already taken hold in the country, tradition had it that Patrick confronted the Druids at Tara and abolished their pagan rites, making Christianity more widespread. He became a bishop, and after his death was named Ireland's patron saint. Celebrations in Ireland were understated, though, and when the Irish immigrated to our country, to the U.S., they created the bigger celebrations and parades that we all know today, which is today. So happy St. Patrick's Day. The 18th century Irish soldiers who fought in the Revolutionary War held the first St. Patrick's Day parades. The celebrations became a way for the Irish to connect with their roots after they moved to America. The shamrock. According to legend, St. Patrick used the three-leaf clover for shamrock to explain the Trinity. Dyeing the river green. Have you, Fabio, have you ever heard of that?
No, not dyeing the river. No.
Dyeing the river green. The practice of dyeing the river green started in Chicago as recently as 1962, where city officials decided to dye a portion of the Chicago River green. They could have just gone to New York. The river's already green there. Ooh. Okay, I'll take that back. If Bourdon is listening, that would be Angel at Westwood 1. He would say, bad joke, Likis. Okay, I'll take your calls. So who out there knows what his name was? What was his birth name? What was Patrick's birth name for St. Patrick's Day? Meanwhile, let's look at gas prices, and I always have these. I find it very interesting. Gas prices are higher than they were today, this time last year. They're actually lower in 8 out of 10 regions than they were this time last week. So go figure. Which shows you, and that's the way you look at P&L statements for companies, folks. You don't look at this week or this month. You look at a 90-day, and then you get a better idea, an average, a trend. So if you look at gas prices week to week, you say, oh, they're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. But if you look at really where the price is headed, in all 10 regions, the price is higher at $2.55.9, $2.60. $2.56 rather, $2.56, and on the West Coast, $3.17 per gallon. Still a pretty good deal. I don't think we get nervous until, I don't know, when's that choke? When do we start to choke? 390, yeah, 370. Fabio, would you say 375?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, about right. Yeah, you know, as I remember, 4 years ago, I think it was, gas price, and I haven't looked at the stats, but roughly 3-4 years ago, we were looking at 375. And then there's one area that I quoted where gasoline prices, and they're probably still $5 there. It was in Alaska, and the price of gas was $6 and some change. And you say, well, that sounds like the UK, you know, but really, this is a region that was like way up in the boondocks, I'll say, up in the country, up in the mountains, or some faraway region that required transportation. And believe it or not, folks, the price of crude certainly affects the price of gasoline. And in fact, I think that's 70% of the equation is related to the price of gas. But the main week-to-week price is based on transportation. And this information came to me many years ago from LL&E, that's Louisiana Land and Exploration. LL&E operated a refinery that's long since been sold, but for many, many years in just north of Mobile, Alabama, which is only about an hour and a half drive at the most from yours truly, from our Car Clinic studios. And I got the invitation. I made the invitation. I didn't get the invitation. I reached out to the manager there, the plant manager, and we talked about cars, go figure. And next thing you know, we were pretty good friends, like you and I are, folks, when you call in. Oh, by the way, 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Hannah is looking at me like, well, are you going to invite people to call? Or Hannah, I apologize. So anyway, let's flutter with calls. 888-227-2546. So you give Hannah a shout. And that will put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air if you have a car question or you just want to chat about St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure there are many of you out there that know more about St. Patrick's Day than I, but so far nobody's come up with the name of his birth name, Patrick's birth name. So the bottom line, getting back to my trip to LL&E, I go over and I travel through the plant, and lo and behold, they have this shack. Now it wasn't a shack, okay, but it was a shed. Well, it wasn't a shed, it was a little metal room, okay, but it looked like a shack compared to the rest of this huge very busy refinery. And if you've ever been to a refinery, it's all pipes and steam and smoke and a lot of stuff going on in there. And what was really interesting to me was in this little small shed there was a small engine that was a single cylinder engine that if you looked at it, you would think it would be, I don't know, maybe a quarter the size in diameter of a 55-gallon drum and maybe 70% as tall as a 55-gallon drum. So like a pylon, well, bigger than a pylon, but certainly it was a single cylinder that had a telescoping cylinder head, which meant that you could physically manipulate a lever and move the head up or down on the cylinder. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, if you shave the head, you increase the compression. So you could literally manually shave the head by moving the head up and down. And what this company did, LL&E, they used a known octane fuel, which for this case happened to be a 55-gallon drum of Phillips petroleum, Phillips 66 fuel. And I later learned that Phillips does a lot of R&D on the PVC, the plastics industry and what have you, like plumbing that we use in our homes and those sorts of things. So they had to, for testing purposes, to determine the octane rating of the batch of fuel that they made, each batch. They tested that batch. But in order to test a batch, you had to have a baseline, of course, and that baseline was set by a specific octane, known octane, and that was a 55-gallon drum of Phillips 66, and they drilled a hole through the wall, literally, which is a metal shed, so they just drilled a hole through it. They put the 55-gallon drum outside of this building, so I guess they could bring in and get another 55-gallon drum of fuel when they needed it. And then they piped it into this engine, and they fired the engine up, kept it at operating temperature, and then you could lower the cylinder head until that engine, and it would start to knock. And you ease it up, and it would knock. And then at that particular point, there were gradients on the measurements so that you could tell at what point that was. And whatever point would cause the knock would verify the octane of the fuel. Another interesting point was that and get this is the kicker, 85% of all the gasoline for the Gulf Coast of Florida came from LL&E. So wait a minute, how does that work? I mean, we've got Shell, when I come back, I'll tell you how they did that. Very interesting. Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car battery is what keeps it all going. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. Choose a battery with PowerFrame grid technology inside. It's engineered with confidence to keep you going longer. That means you can trust your battery with PowerFrame to be there start after start. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with PowerFrame Grid technology or learn more at powerframe.com.
I am for the child who lives in motels, cars, and shelters. The child finally put in foster care, a group home, where he sleeps not on a bed, but a temporary cot. That is the child I am for. And because I am, he'll be that much more likely to find a safe, permanent home. I am a court-appointed special advocate volunteer. I am you.
Lift up a child's voice, a child's life. Get involved at casaforchildren.org.
Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis. I see that sound from New Orleans. I'm thinking about New Orleans in my mind. From New York has dialed in. 888-227-2546. I'm going to take his call, but first I want to complete the story. So I'm at LL&E, Louisiana Land and Explorations Refinery, over toward north of Mobile, many years ago. And folks, when tankers, and you see these tankers that deliver fuel to service stations, when they go to this refinery and they fill their tanker trucks, they do not buy gallons of gas. They're not billed by the gallons. The truck is weighed because, and here's the reason why, and I was going to trick you with this, but it's no trick. The truck is weighed when it drives into the plant. They fill it, and then it is weighed when it drives out. And they separate the two. They subtract the weight of the truck, and that tells them how much weight of gasoline is in that truck, because a gallon of gas weighs about 8 gallons. But if a gallon of gas is 50 degrees and another gallon of gas is 70 degrees, the container that would hold the 1 gallon at 50 only would not hold the gallon at 70. Just like your radiator, and think about it, just like your radiator has an expansion tank, it is for that reason that tanker trucks don't buy gas by the gallon, they buy it by the weight. And they know the temperature, and that gives them the precise number of gallons, and that's where they get the figures from. Now, that's the one little trivia that I wanted you to know. Another that's very interesting was, and I mentioned, if 85% of all the gasoline, and this is probably still true today, I won't say that, I won't state that, but it certainly was some 20 plus years ago. So if you've got a Shell station, which is great gasoline, and you've got a Standard Oil station, and you've got a Thumb station, if all the gas is the same, why would you go to different brands? Well, when that truck is filled with gasoline at the refinery, there's a smaller, and they have huge hoses, and it looks like a train station, I call it the gas station in the sky. It's huge. And they have also 5,000 gallon containers of the additive package that makes the brand of gasoline the brand. So they would fill the tanker with X number of pounds of gasoline, and then they would add the proportional amount of additives from the Shell tank, and you could see there were a half a dozen branded tanks, and those half a dozen little 5,000 gallon side tanks would be piped in and added to the tractor trailer load of fuel. Very interesting. And one more thing, just for grins. In addition to that, at that time, they sold straight gasoline, and they sold gasohol, which is, as we know, ethanol, and they called it gasohol. It was a great marketing plan by the oil companies against ethanol, but I won't go into that because that's not what I'm here for. What I will say is that the plant manager explained to me and showed me his books and explained to me how the price of gas. He said, well, if Standard Oil has a plant in Kentucky and they need gasoline in Kentucky, they have their gasoline. But if they need gasoline on the coast here, to truck that fuel from Kentucky would elevate the cost of that fuel. So we sell their gas for them, but it's our gas, it's not their gas. That's well, how does that work? It's not true Standard Oil gas, right? He said, oh, it is, because we add the additive. But the price of fuel, they dictated the price or came up with the price of gasoline at 6 a.m. or 4 a.m., whatever, early every day. And it changed every day. So that's really would be hard to keep up. And then one last little tidbit was when I asked him how much gasohol they sold and how much gasoline, he told me how many thousands of gallons of gasoline and how many thousands of gallons of ethanol. He said, here's a very interesting point. He actually was later fired, or he retired early, which to me, I think he was fired, not for sharing this information with me, but he was a very open, straight fellow, and I think he didn't follow the guidelines, because he explained to me that they sold 150,000 gallons of straight ethanol that year, or that month. Yeah, 150,000 gallons that month that wasn't part of a batch. It was added to gasoline, so that some of the trucks would take regular gasoline and they would blend ethanol because it was cheaper. So if you bought 500,000 gallons of gasoline and then you put 100,000 gallons of ethanol, the ethanol was cheaper. So your overall cost of 600,000 gallons of gas would be cheaper. But if you sold it for straight gasoline, so you know, you can't quote me on that, but I was there, I saw what was going on, and I saw the reports. Let's go to New York, take a call from Sam. Sam, happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Thank you, Mr. Likis. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Thank you, my friend. What can I do for you? What are you going to add to the show? I'm going to turn the mic to you. Talk to us about, I see you've got something here about St. Patrick's name/motorcycle fuel. So I'll turn the mic to you.
I'm going to try to guess, and it's pure guess, for the correct name of St. Patrick. Was it Gregory?
Was not.
Okay, I lose that one. But
well,
you can help me with this one.
Well, I'm so glad that you didn't go online and look it up. So I mean, I think that's very straightforward of you, and I commend you for losing. if that makes you feel any better, you're welcome.
Well, I appreciate that. It won't be my first nor my last.
No, that's for sure. Nor mine. Okay.
I know you can answer this question because I'm mechanically challenged, but being a combustion engine, just being short 2 wheels, I've got a question about a 900cc two-cylinder motorcycle engine. The compression ratio is 12-1.
Right.
And their requirement is for a premium fuel.
Sure.
Number one, are the premium fuels with ethanol additive? And if so, do you recommend for a small 900cc two-cylinder engine to put in ethanol additive, and how often?
Well, first, they don't make an ethanol additive. They make ethanol blended fuels. So
Well, I'd heard that at the parts store.
Well,
I
that's
had a friend that had,
that's an octane. It's an octane boost.
Okay.
So octane boost is not ethanol. Well, let me take that back. That's absolutely incorrect. The reason that ethanol is used in gasoline is to raise and elevate the octane, because ethanol is a 113 octane rating in and of itself. So you can take a poor grade gasoline, 84 octane, and you add 10% ethanol, and now you have 87 octane, which is legal to sell and meets the mandate to pump. To that end, you could take E10 and splash blend. Now notice I said splash blend, which means that you take E10 and add 5% ethanol, and now you have E15, and you have 88 octane. And if you want higher octane gasoline, you could run E30, which is 30% ethanol, and bump your octane up to 101. I know this because I have recently run 4 tanks of 101 E30 in my bone stock 2013 V8 engine with 11.5 to 1 compression ratio. And I mixed it myself because I have some E90 in the house here. That was sent here from Jay Berry in Indianapolis for a friend of mine who had a modified Demon with 1,200 horsepower, and it was tuned on E90. So, and he sold the car. He kept it 2 weeks, and he had his fun, and then he sold it. He's got a lot of cars. So the bottom line, I ended up with a 55-gallon drum of E90, 114 octane racing fuel, and rather than to let it go or give it away, I don't know who to give it to. I said, okay, I'm going to put and mix, and I blend 5 gallons of E90 with 16.4 gallons of E10, and that gives me E30. Now, to that end, your small engine will run fabulously well on a higher blend of premium ethanol, but if it's a carbureted engine, it would have to be rejetted, because if you have a fixed jet, and folks, listen to this very carefully, and especially those of you with lawnmowers, because I know what you believe with regard to air fuel mixture. No, you don't know about air fuel. What you believe with ethanol and lawnmowers. If you jet an engine to tune that engine's air fuel ratio correctly, you can run E30 ethanol. The challenge is ethanol contains oxygen. So Sam, let's say that you were baking a cake, or let's just say that you're, let's just look at 14.7 parts of air, fuel, to air to 1 part of fuel. That's stoichiometric. That's what cars run by today. That's the oxygen sensor settings. Okay, so let's just say that your car is perfectly tuned, and then and how do you do that? It means that you've got 14.7 parts of air to 1 part of fuel. If you and you've got 10% ethanol. If you put another 10% ethanol, you have just leaned out that engine, because within the liquid ethanol is oxygen. In fact, every molecule of ethanol contains 35% oxygen. Therein lies the reason that if you take a fixed jet, which means you cannot adjust the air-fuel ratio because it's a jet in the carburetor, unlike our computer control with oxygen sensors, if you've got a fixed jet engine, you will lean out the mixture and it will run hotter, the exhaust will run hotter, and you could burn an exhaust valve. There's why, and people don't know that, that's why earlier lawnmowers and people would say, well, I got a weed whacker or this blower, and every time I use that ethanol, it ruins the engine. The answer is really that's not the case at all. It's a fuel. In fact, ethanol, were it not for John D. Rockefeller and the big oil companies, we would be wondering how much gasoline we could mix with our ethanol, because ethanol would have been the de facto fuel, because the first car that Henry Ford ever designed ran on 100% ethanol, and America's first flex fuel was Henry Ford's 1908 Model T. Got a hard break coming up, and also got a guest when I come back. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts. And your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Get ready to call 888 Car Clinic and I'll help you solve your car challenges. But now, January's known for the new year. February for Valentine's. Well, how about March? Sure. March is known for today, St. Patrick's Day. But what else? March Madness, of course. According to CBS, in 2017, March Madness live streaming views increased 33% year over year to a total of 22.4 million hours of live online viewing. With a total of 130 men's and women's college basketball games played in less than a month, it can be difficult for fans to catch every second of the March Madness action. Starting this week, select owners of Buick vehicles can get a free month of 4G LTE Wi-Fi enabled by AT&T so they can catch the games almost anywhere they are. Really cool. Joining us to share the details is Rob Peterson from Buick. Rob, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Glad to be back, Bobby.
Say, Rob, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers this new offer from Buick.
Sure. So Buick and NCAA have had a partnership for 8 years now, and the partnership has really grown and prospered. The people who are connected to basketball, college basketball, they're very passionate, they're very inclusive, and they're very enthusiastic. And as you kind of laid out there, March is all about basketball and college basketball for these people. So recognizing that they like to stay connected to their sports and to their favorite teams, and then also being connected with Buick and having Wi-Fi, we kind of found the perfect marriage there and putting the two pieces together. So what we've done is we've offered free Wi-Fi to Buick owners from 2015 or newer, and they can have unlimited access to the Wi-Fi when they can go out and they can stream their video or stream video of their favorite team wherever they are, whenever they would like to. And that's for the passengers. So inside the vehicle, the Wi-Fi can handle up to 7 devices, the tablets, iPhones, things along that line. And then for the driver, because we want the driver to keep his hands on the wheels and his eyes out on the roads, we've created an NCAA app that gets loaded into their infotainment system and allows them to stream audio of all the games that are playing at that particular point in time. So we can keep all of our Buick customers connected to their favorite teams during this March Madness period.
Well, that's, to me, it's just Mom and apple pie and Buick and Wi-Fi. It's like Americans. We want everything that we can get, and it seems that GM is certainly delivering. I understand that more vehicles are being equipped with Wi-Fi options. It appears that's a trend. Would you say that'll continue?
Well, for General Motors, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Wi-Fi capability, which is really the backbone of which is OnStar, has really become a strong differentiator for our brand overall. We know that with the move towards SUVs and a lot of the transportation isn't just for one person; it's for everybody that's inside the vehicle. We recognize that a lot of younger people have limited data plans, or their plans are set up just for Wi-Fi. If you think about it, 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds may have cell phones, which seems unheard of for somebody from my generation. But now they can't use it in the car unless you have Wi-Fi. So we provide the Wi-Fi in the vehicle for them, and they get a chance to to stream their videos. We're just kind of taking that notion up a level to the people that are really passionate about college basketball and making it happen. One of the beauties of being connected to the OnStar, I want to make sure that this gets through, is we have a stronger signal coming out of the car because it's connected to the car and the car's batteries. So even when you're traveling into, like where I'm at in Michigan, way up into the Upper Peninsula, we have a stronger signal being received in the car, which means that, hey, if you're way, way, way away from your favorite team, you're still going to be able to watch that streaming video. Or if you're with your screaming child and they want to watch, their favorite cartoon, you're still going to have access to it there as well.
We're talking with Rob Peterson, Buick Marketing Manager, Screaming Child. We got that, folks. Okay. GM is thinking about everything. So, Rob, do you see the future where Wi-Fi will be an option in every new vehicle?
Well, at General Motors, we're almost clear across the board Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi in almost every single one of our vehicles. At Buick, all of our vehicles have Wi-Fi. So again, like I said, we see this as a differentiator. We see this as an opportunity for our customers to remain connected to the outside world no matter where they're at. And we think that that's something that our customers are actually asking for, is that ability to remain connected no matter where they're going. So, yeah, I suspect that in the industry it's going to kind of head that way. I think General Motors is ahead of the curve without a question in this regard.
I have to agree 100%. Just one last question. If a Car Clinic listener, a Buick owner, of course, wants to sign up for the Wi-Fi offer, where do they go and what do they need to do?
Absolutely. It's very simple. All they have to do is visit Buick.com/hoops, and they register, and they'll provide their vehicle identification number, their VIN number, and the NCAA app will be downloaded into their vehicle, and then they'll also be provided the internet access. It's a very simple process.
That is really simple, and it's way cool. Rob Peterson, Buick Marketing Manager. That's about it. I can't think of anything except I've got to go fire up my Buick and fire up the app. Hey, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Always great to have you join us.
Anytime, Bobby. Great to talk to you.
Screaming kid, indeed, screaming kid. So what do you think, folks, about Wi-Fi in the car? You know, I mean, it's technology, and technology is fantastic. Technology is something that we can use properly, of course, to enhance our lives and make our lives safer and better. When you think about it in that direction, you think about artificial intelligence, or as I recently watched a session that my friend gave, Dr. Ken Ford at IHMC. And IHMC is the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, located right here in Pensacola, Florida. It's a world-class think tank, and they do a whale of a job. Actually came in second globally in their robot. They have very interesting R&D going on in that plant. But the bottom line is that technology is growing. The pace at which technology is growing certainly is faster than ever. But as Ken stated in his session, when you think about, say, being born in 1900 and then go through 1970 or 75, and you think about all of the things that happened from airplanes to internet to cell phones to, I mean, you name it. So even though technology is growing so much faster than ever today, doubtful that in the next 70 years that we will have anywhere near the inventions or the revelations that we've had historically. I found it very interesting. You can actually catch some or all of, and subscribe to his talks, and he has on occasion monthly or 6 weeks. I'm not sure if it's scheduled. But when you have an opportunity to go to just Google IHMC. It stands for the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition. And Dr. Ford started that organization and has done a fantastic job. If I had 10 or 12 minutes of airtime, I could read you his bio. It's very interesting. I actually drove the newly designed moon rover, courtesy of Ken Ford. Drove over to Houston, to the Houston Space Center, and was able to drive that vehicle on the moon surface. But it wasn't the moon surface, but it was an area that they had made to simulate the moon surface. I was never so proud of myself because I was able to get this six-legged or six-axled machine stuck. Because when you have six axles, the middle of and each of the axles has to elevate if you're going to go over a rise. I mean, obviously, and like caterpillars and legs. And so the bottom line, there was a large stone going up a hill there, and I chose to drive specifically over that stone. And when I got to the center legs of the moon rover, the leg automatically elevates, and each one of these legs elevates when it sees over like 5 pounds differential in load, so that the legs are all the time going up and down. And there's a pair of tires, a pair of wheels on each axle, each leg. So you have 12 tires on this vehicle. Interestingly enough, that machine uses a Detroit locker, which is a special locking differential for each one of those 6 axles. And I got it stuck, and the machine lifted its center wheel, but it couldn't get it high enough to go over, And there was actually an executive there from NASA that was walking, following me around, and I'm sure watching the operation of the machine. And it was steered by a joystick, and you had a screen in front of you, and it showed your position and the position of the wheels. And so I just stopped, and then the other individual, either the pilot, which I was next to, I was a co-pilot, either the pilot or the individual behind us raised the center wheel all the way up and then pushed the two end wheels all the way down and got that little extra clearance, and then I was able to move over that rock. It stopped automatically. It's the reason that I knew I had it stuck. I'm never so proud of myself. Okay, I'd asked this question, and then we had a couple of calls, and then when I had the GM fellow on the line, Rob Peterson, we had a couple of fallouts. 888 Car Clinic, you can still have time to get in. So I asked the question, so if you know, what was St. Patrick's Day, what was his birth name? So I think that would be very interesting. And also I mentioned earlier in the program about Ford Motor Company and the 2020 Ford Bronco, and it's going to be a Jeep Wrangler. So if you can imagine a Jeep Wrangler, then imagine a Ford Bronco, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So the teaser image that I've seen, it shows the Bronco a distinct upright and retro shape, if you remember what the Bronco looked like, along the lines of the Jeep Wrangler of the World War II Jeep. How many of you knows where the Jeep came from? Fabio, you have any idea? Jonathan? Hannah? Well, she's a kid anyway. She's so young.
She said Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. That is really cool. That is really cool. What a great answer. Wrong, but what a great answer. So Jeep, of course, in the war, was a GP for general purpose, and the Jeep was developed for use during the war by Willis and Bantam, and Ford was also part of that. So I think it's interesting now that Ford's going to come back to the Jeep and call it it'll be a Bronco, not a Jeep. But that's very interesting. 888-227-2546 is the number for you to call. I need to reach out to, KKLS. I've got that a cheat sheet here. No, I'll find it later. But it's KKLS is our newest affiliate, and that's a powerhouse station. So if you're tuned in now and you're hearing my voice, I'm Bobby Likis. I host Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm a car guy. Our studios are located in the center of the automotive universe, which is located within a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop in Pensacola, Florida. So please know that every Saturday for 2 hours live from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you on all of our local AM and or FM radio stations. There in Rapid City, South Dakota, it's KKLS 104.7 FM and, of course, 920 AM. And a special shout out to KKLS General Manager Mary Ann Whittle, and also to the Rockin' Program Director Brad Anderson. A cool guy and a great station. And while it may be a bit late for you to get in for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, we do have another hour coming up. And remember, the number for you to call is 888 Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic. So it's that time of year. We're sort of, the cool weather's going away, the warm weather's coming up, but the winter salt and dirt and road grime has done its toll, and I can assure you it clogs many a good filter, an air filter, and just like your oil filter, how long should an oil filter last? We know, and we're into that extended interval of oil change now. Well, we all realize that, but if you are going to extend your oil change, or if you're just going to go by the standard, well, the standard is 5,000 miles, 3,000 miles on conventional still holds. you better use a good, well-known quality oil filter and air filter. Proper filtration of your oil is absolutely vital to keeping your car running, and the Bosch Distance Plus oil filter has a 99.9% efficiency rate, 99.9% efficiency rating, and is designed to hold, get this folks, 300% more dirt and contaminants, which means your engine oil, it runs cleaner and your engine lasts longer. That's all the time we have for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us? You'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology, which helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, carburetors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Nathan had a rough idling 03 Jetta. After one can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool and a day of normal driving, the rough idle was gone. According to Nathan, not only did it work, but some other cleaners cost more than 4 times that amount. Learn more about Berryman products and their HEST technology at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Ride along with me, and we'll discuss automobiles, fuels, oils, air filters, fuel filters, tire rotation, balance, conicity, all the things that you probably never heard about and you probably don't really care about until it lands on your doorstep. And then, oh, Oh, why? Why does it take so much? How come it costs so much to fix my car? Well, has that been a good car for you? Yes, Bobby, it has. I've got 172,314 miles on this car, and it's never been in the shop. Well, think about that. Really? It's a trick question, folks. So if I ask you, if you call me with a question and I ask you, has this been a good car? I'll just forewarn you, that is a trick. It is a trick question. And I'll tell you a little more about that and why. And when you think about it, it's not a trick question, but it gets them every time, because you bring to the surface just how long you've had the car and how many miles you have on the car and how infrequently it's been in a shop. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. You'll learn more about their products and industry-leading application coverage where? At MotorradUSA.com. That's MotorradUSA.com. 888 Car Clinic. Your calls when I come back. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries. Joe touched on why many of today's vehicles are better suited for this technology. Let's hear from Joe.
Certain attributes that make your vehicle a good candidate for an AGM battery really depend on the electrical demands that are placed on the battery within your vehicle, as well as potentially the vehicle application, such as start-stop. Most vehicles manufactured in recent years actually contain more than 150 electrical accessories, including backup cameras, navigation systems, even power windows, which are part of our everyday lives. Our AGM batteries are manufactured to meet these electrical demands. Additionally, if you have something in your car such as start-stop technology, you need an AGM battery to help ensure you are effectively powering your vehicle during the stop event.
Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. Recently, we sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim specifically touched on performance benefits.
The SuperChips Flash Pack's performance tuning can impact your vehicle's mileage, towing performance, or to optimize drivability while daily driving. The tuning is designed to eliminate excessive downshifting to improve overall drivability, and you can manage things like active fuel management, adjust for particular shift points or shift patterns, shift firmness, and torque management. Additionally, you can also read and clear diagnostic trouble codes, adjust your speed and rev limiters, and correct your speedometer for aftermarket tire and gear ratios. And all of this would come with a 2-year powertrain warranty that comes standard with the SuperChips Flash Pack.
Find your perfect tune at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get this hour started. Again, I'll lead off the program this hour with, which is our second hour, Happy St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick's Day celebrates the Roman Catholic feast day of the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick died on March 17th, 461. But did you know that he wasn't even Irish? Really? And his name wasn't Patrick? So I'm going to ask each and every one of you, not to embarrass you, because this, who would know? Do you know the real name of St. Patrick? And no, Captain Jim in Las Vegas, you cannot call in, because we know that you already know the answer, because he's at Watch Bobby Live, and he's already, in the chat room said, I know the answer, and he put the answer in. He's right. So all of you folks in the chat room at Watch Bobby Live, you're DQ'd, disqualified. Okay, let's go to Don first, who has a 2013 Hyundai. Notice I said Hyundai. That's right, just like Sunday. That's the way you pronounce Hyundai. But he doesn't have a Hyundai. He has a Genesis. Don, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, so what's St. Patrick's name?
I don't have a clue.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't celebrate it. I was an alcoholic early on in life, and so I quit drinking, and I don't celebrate anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know that you have to drink to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but whatever floats your boat. Let's talk about your Genesis and your issue. And briefly, what is it doing you don't like? And let's see if I can help.
Yeah, the mileage went from 20 to 21 down to 14 for no apparent reason. It seems to be running okay, and I took it to my mechanic, and he put it on a scanner, and nothing shows up. I'm wondering if you have any ideas.
I do. Number one, although nothing shows up, which means the check engine light is not there. It doesn't illuminate. Right. Okay. So here, do you happen to have a piece of paper and a pencil, something you can write down?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what he needs to check. Two things, which will give him the lily pad, the next lily pad, because he's stuck on one lily pad now. Let's get him to the next one. Number one, you need to know the fuel trim, and the fuel trim is a recorded history. And folks, every car out there that has electronic fuel injection, which is every car out there now, with the exception of classics, records the rate at which and the amount of which the air and the fuel ratio has to be adjusted on the fly. It's called trimming. And as you know, if you are in the dead of winter, you have to trim your grass in your yard like once a month. If you're in the dead of summer, you have to trim it probably twice a week if you want to keep it manicured. So that would be the trim rate. Obviously, if you averaged the cold weather cutting of your grass and the hot weather cutting, you would get a percentage of trim. Same thing is true for your electronic fuel injected air fuel ratio controlled car. So your technician needs to look at the fuel trim, and if it's beyond, say, 3%, then there's a problem with fuel flow or other factors. So you'll find if you've gone dramatically some 30 or 40% off in MPG, something's wrong with the fuel flow for sure, because there's too much of it going out the pipe without accumulating the miles. So you're not converting energy, the fuel chemistry into energy, into heat in the industry, in energy. So fuel trim is a must. That's what you want to know. And if it's over 3%, that will give him a sense of direction. That's number one. Number two, and Don, this may be something that you can't really tell because all you have is a gauge, and I want your technician to use a scan tool while he's checking fuel trim to look at the engine temperature. If the engine temperature, remember these numbers, if it's not 198 to 225, then that costs you gas mileage, because anything less than 198, 195 at the bottom of the barrel would cost you MPG, because the computer thinks the car is still cool or warm or cold and not up to operating temperature, and will not properly lean out the engine as it's supposed to, and that will cost you MPG. And if you have a thermostat that is partially stuck open or is not closing all the way, or is opening too early, which means that the engine never reaches that 198. And actually, a thermostat should go up to about 210 or 205, and then you'll see it fluctuate when it opens, and the engine temp will drop down to 195 and then back up to 20, and then finally it'll settle out. So those are the two things that you need to know: fuel trim and engine temp. And the engine temp needs to be between 198 and 225. That's when the auxiliary fan kicks in. Now, we're not talking about when the air conditioner is on. And for your information, you've heard me mention Motorrad. That's MOTORAD. If you should go, Don, to Motorrad USA and check out their thermostats, because the Motorrad company supplies and makes to OE specs, that's original equipment manufacturers, thermostats and caps. And they have the best coverage. So that will give you the information that you need. And no, it's not a bad oxygen sensor, because everybody in the world is going to tell you, oh, the O2 sensor is going to control all that. Let me tell you something. An O2 sensor is reactive. It reacts to the air-fuel ratio and feeds that information to the computer. It does not control fuel in and of itself. It is one of the factors that control fuel. You got it?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was Motorrad, MOTORAD?
That's correct. USA.
Okay.
MotorradUSA.com. Hey, Don,
Okay,
thanks for your
USA.
call. Thanks for your call. And let me know when you get to the other side of your 40% drop in MPG exactly what was found and how I helped you. I appreciate it, and happy St. Pat to you.
Thank you, buddy. Have a nice one.
You as well. Isn't that something? He quit drinking so he can't celebrate. Well, gosh, if he quit eating, I guess he can't celebrate Thanksgiving. Ooh, I didn't say that. I did say that. Why would I say that? I don't know. Why not? Let's go to South Carolina. Take a call from James. Then we're going to go to Jim in Mississippi, and then Leo in Texas. Because in Texas, everything, I'm not going to go say that either. Ray, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house. Do you know the name of St. Patrick or Patrick? You know what? He just dropped out. Okay, we'll shift gears then. We'll go to Jim in Mississippi. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby. Bobby, first off, I want to tell you, I try my best to listen to your show every Saturday morning. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm 68 years old now. I learn a lot. My daddy always said, shut your mouth, boy, and listen. You'll learn something. I learned a lot.
Well, now, okay, I thank you for that, but I'm going to say I have to say one thing. If I and you agreed, if we agreed to meet on the corner of A and Garden Street at noon on a given day, and I said, and it's imperative that we meet, and you told me, okay, Bobby, I'll try to be there, I would say not. And so whenever our team says, I'll try to do this, we said we do not use the word try. We do. So,
we do.
So I know that you try to, no pun intended here, to listen in every Saturday. But a lot of people do listen in every Saturday. But regardless, hey, no flame intended, I'm here every Saturday for you. And so to that end, not to embarrass you, but do you know Patrick's real name?
It's not Bobby Likis, I know that.
Okay, you got me. All right. No, it's not. All right. Well, okay, your car question.
Well, the first thing, Bobby, is I am a shade tree mechanic. I can do anything with an automobile that has points in it, a carburetor.
Well,
whenever they come out with this computer, I used to think they done this to keep people like me from working on their automobiles and had to send. And look, Bobby, I'm not putting y'all down. I believe in you.
Yeah.
I like y'all. But this check engine light, this 2002 Nissan Exterior.
Yeah, I know.
Would run, give me fits. And I have changed everything from the plugs to the wires, distributor cap, rotary cap. I even put a coil in it. No slack in the distributor at all. And finally pulled that plenum off of it, and that number 2 fuel injector was stuck open.
Really?
I replaced it. My check engine light was off. I run it for about 40 miles. it come back on.
Well, wait now. Wait, yeah, right. Wait, because we are going to play a song. There's the music. The good news is I'm not going to sing, but I am going to wait for a couple of 3 minutes and come back and take the rest of your call, Jim. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Vehicle Maintenance Spotlight, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's a crash course in brake parts before you have a crash. Master cylinders distribute brake fluid to wheels. Calipers and wheel cylinders convert pressurized brake fluid into stopping power. Brake pads and shoes protect calipers from friction caused by stopping. To be safe, include your entire braking system in regular maintenance. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a wide selection of quality brakes. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly. If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing and grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermo-Quiet at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brake parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Folks, cold winters can cause batteries to lose their cold cranking amps and ability to start a vehicle. Make sure you have your battery tested and, if needed, replaced with an AGM. AGM batteries maintain more charge over time, better suited for start-stop systems, and if your battery tests low, make sure you check the alternator as well. An extreme cold followed by extreme heat can diminish battery life. Frequently jump-starting your battery or letting a vehicle just sit idle for days at a time can also slowly reduce your battery's power and effectiveness, risking a dead battery. The Bosch S6 high-performance AGM battery is more resilient to the constant demands of start-stop systems and vehicles with high electronic demands. If you're like me, always charging multiple devices, listening to the radio, enjoying all the technology and electronics in your vehicle, upgrading your battery to a Bosch AGM unit is a must-do to keep your vehicle running at its best and ensure you have battery power, always. To find an AGM battery for your vehicle, go to BoschAutoParts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis, and we're talking with a shade tree mechanic and named Jim, who's a self-proclaimed shade tree mechanic. So, Sir Jim, I will turn the mic back to you. Please continue.
Well, what I was saying, Bobby, is I've changed everything that I can change.
Well, wait a minute. Now think about this. How many injectors are there?
I had them checked. They all opened with a proper current going to them, except that number 2. It was stuck wide open.
Okay, let me say this. Now, you had them checked. That was leaking. So you had one that was leaking. But how many miles did you have on the one that was bad?
I don't know. A couple hundred.
What year car is it?
2002.
Well, so it's old, right?
Yes, it's a new motor put in there just before I got it.
But still, the injectors, you replaced a bad injector, and you had to pull the plenum to get to it.
Yes.
Well, were it mine, and I would have put a set of injectors, so all things would be equal, although things are never equal all the time.
Well, that's what I might have to do. But the main thing right now is I had to get it running. I've got a daughter got in a car wreck Friday. She broke her neck and her back. And we
wow.
having to get this thing going. I can go back to the hospital. Once everything's settled down, I'm going to pull it back down.
Okay. So I'm not saying that's going to create. Sorry about your daughter. Seriously, that's
well,
that's terrible.
It will keep anything else from happening in the near future, so I won't have to do this no more.
Okay. Here's a point. When you're doing open hood surgery or open heart surgery, you know, if you woke up and the doctor said I did a bypass and we're going to go back in 6 weeks and because you need a double bypass and do another one, you know, you'd say, well,
I got you.
Okay, so because you're a do-it-yourselfer and because you save all this money doing it yourself, you may as well, when you're there, you would never do one brake and not do the other brake. The front, you would never do a left front shock and not a right front or a pair. You might do the front or the back, but you never do one wheel. So it's been my experience, and it's best for you to replace units in multiples, in sets. And a set. And a good example of that, perfect example, is replace cars coming here with number 2 cylinder misfire. And we put a number 2 coil on it, Ford, okay, especially, all right? Well, not just Ford, but Lexus as well. So 2 weeks later, it comes back. Customer says, I have the same problem I had when that I just paid you. What's that? Well, the engine's misfire and the check engine light's on. So we look, it's number 4 misfire. So we put a number 4 number 4 coil. Things good. 2 months later, look, this is the 3rd time in 2.5 months I've been in here. It's got the same check engine light and a misfire. Oh, it's number 8 misfire. Really? Really? Are you making this up? No. So what should we do? Well,
get them all.
Get them all. And here's the challenge with that. If you don't advise the customer properly, then the customer says, well, are you just trying to sell me a bunch of parts? I actually, and here's a true statement, because we run a transparent automotive service shop. I don't know if anybody makes a statement like that, but we do it. We won the Torch Award for Better Business Bureau in 2017, Ethics in Business, of all businesses in Santa Rosa and Escambia County. All businesses. That's a big deal. Now, not patting myself or my crew on the back and not saying we, but the bottom line is, here's what I did, and I've done this multiple times. A customer comes in with a Ford, got a bad coil, and it needs plugs. Well, the plugs on some of those 3-valve cylinder heads will break. That's a common problem. We know how to get them out without breaking them. What I will do and have done, I will send my customers right up the street to O'Reilly Auto Parts and get a set of a box. They come in one box of Excel coils. They're yellow, they're high performance. We used to use those years and years ago. Now you can buy a set of Excel, a set, which means a box of 8. And they're 2 different part numbers, so you got to make sure you get the right part, because one angle is a little bit of an angle, one coil is a straight-on plug set. So I send them up there, and they will buy at the regular price from O'Reilly Auto Parts a set of Excel spark plug, coils. I will do the labor and put the new plugs in, and they can buy the coils. The reason I do that, Jim, is because I don't want people, I want to do whatever it takes to make sure that I get the job fixed the first time, even if I lose the profit on the coils. Who cares? I want to make the customer.
Bobby, word of mouth is your best.
Well, sure it is. Sure it is. But you know, you got to, in order to make that work, you have to pay it forward. And a lot of people in business are not willing to pay it forward. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying that's an occasion that I use. Number one, that makes me look good because we are good, and it also makes the job last longer. So to that end, I advise you to do the same thing, especially when you're doing your own work. You got it?
My question was, after changing that, I drove it 40 miles at check engine light to come back on.
Yeah, but did you check to see why?
I had it checked. They said it was the canister in the back, the solenoid canister in the back. The solenoid was sticking, and I run 2 tanks of gas through this thing, Bobby, and the light has went off. I know a part's either good or it's bad, or sometimes it may fluctuate with you a little bit. But is that normal for that truck to run a while to clear that to clear it up? Cause
Oh,
I've
yeah,
done
yeah,
a hard
yeah.
start
Yeah.
on my
Yeah, the drive cycle. It's called drive cycle. In fact, whenever we, especially with emissions controls, and what you're talking about is emission controls, a drive cycle means that you repair the car that's got a check engine light, and you do whatever necessary, and then you put the part on, and you clear the computer with the machine, and then you drive the car, but you can't give the car back to the customer. You had it all day, but you can't give it back because you have to park it overnight. And in some cars, some Toyotas, 14 hours after you park the car will self-test the emissions for vapors. It is unbelievable. I got to go, Jim, but anyway, the best
I do appreciate it, Bobby, and y'all have a real blessed day. And
thank you. Thank you.
Try to keep listening. I don't get you on the radio in the morning.
Okay.
I get you
All right.
repeat in the afternoon.
All right, great. Hey, best of recovery for your daughter, sir.
Certainly. I've got everybody praying for her, Bobby. If anybody out there would, her name is Haley. That's all God needs to know. He can do what he needs to do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, let's go to South Carolina and talk with Jim, and then we're going to go to Leo and Tech. And Leo, don't you go anywhere because you have a motorhome with a battery question, and I owned a motorhome, and I've worked on a lot of motorhomes, so I'm really familiar with that nature of that beast. In the meantime, Ray from South Carolina has an 05 Honda Odyssey with overheating issues. Ray, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, appreciate it.
Thank you.
What I've got is I drove the Honda Odyssey the other day, about 10 or 12 miles in town, running errands. Pulled back in the garage and walked in front of the van, and I felt the heat. I opened and I could smell it.
Right. There's nothing like the smell of leaking, just like there's nothing like the smell of raw gasoline when you're pumping it or in your garage. You smell gasoline and it's raw. You know there's a challenge. A coolant leak, and I know this because my car currently has a coolant leak, and a month ago, Brennan, my general manager, was walking around the front of the car as I was about to leave, and he says, "Hey, you got a coolant leak." I said, "Right on." He said, "But we just put the water pump on there, and the new water pump I put on my car is leaking coolant, and as we speak, I've got a newly designed water pump, the third iteration for my engine, and I haven't had the time, my team hasn't, to put it on, but it's right outside the studio on a table." But back to you, I'm with you 100% with smelling. There's nothing like leaking coolant because it has that sweet, hot smell. But please continue.
Okay, and what I did when I've seen no sign of a leak, but anyway, I opened the hood, and the rod that holds the hood open was, when I reached to pull it up, it was extremely hot, and the fiberglass cover shield over the top of the radiator was hot. It was full of coolant, and the heat indicator in the on the inside is on normal.
Well,
and my mechanic hadn't been able to find out what it is yet.
Okay. Let me ask this question: have you had to add coolant to this vehicle?
No.
Well, I will say to you that when you drive a vehicle with the hood closed, underhood temperatures can reach up to 300 degrees. I've said this for 25 years on radio, 27 now. I don't really understand how hoses and belts can do the job that they do. It is beyond me at the temperature that is that the environment, the hostile environment under the hood of an E. And you say, well, Likis, you're comparing animate objects to inanimate objects, and these inanimate objects are made to withstand that, but I say they're not, and I'll tell you why I say that. Hoses burst, intake manifolds that are made of plastic crack, valve covers that are made of plastic leak, gaskets that are made to seal leak, and so time and heat and cold affect all things, whether it's real, human, or inanimate objects. So I say to you, it is quite normal for the parts of your car that you're talking about to be hot, and if the engine is not hot and you're not losing coolant and the gauge is running okay and the engine runs fine, don't worry about it.
Bobby, I think it's way too hot. I mean, I'm serious.
Okay, all right, then here's what to do. But my two things that I want to go back. One thing, not to belabor it, but you said you smell coolant.
Right.
Well, the only way you can smell coolant is if it's a leak. And just for your information, yesterday I put 2 quarts of coolant in my car because I did not want to run it till the reservoir got low enough to get air in the system, because that is a no-no. So and then Wednesday, when my technician comes back from vacation, Johnny Bars, who is our master ASE certified tech, and he does all the water pumps on the Jags. He's going to replace the water pump. This is only 2 months old on my car, with a new one that I got, which is the new design. But I didn't want the air to get in the system, so I put 2, and I know that it was leaking. But if you're not adding coolant, it is not leaking.
Well, that's it. The thing to me, it was when it cooled off enough and I opened the cap, the coolant was right up to the top.
Well,
and the reservoir's got it's normal in there too.
Well, if it's coolant, the coolant doesn't belong to be at the top. That tells me if literally what you're saying is true, you've added coolant and you're causing the smell, because the coolant, when it's cold, should be in a cool fill line, which is half the way down, and the hot fill line is about 3/4 of the way up on the reservoir. And I got a break. Let me come back, Ray and Jim and Leo, and folks, don't touch that dial. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have spare money for them. When a heater core starts to fail, it can be costly depending on location, maybe $1,000 even. When a heater core leaks, it usually comes on gradually with a smell of coolant and a film on the glass that keeps returning. Common leaks are the glued seals on the plastic tanks. This represents a perfect opportunity to use K-Seal, as it can be poured into the cooling system and driven right away. And K-Seal remains in the system, so it can prevent future leaks as well. We recently used K-Seal on a Honda to stop a heater core leak. We never experienced the smell of coolant, but we had to regularly clean the inside windshield glass to remove that film. It doesn't take more than a few drops from a leaking heater core to cause an unsafe film on the glass. After using K-Seal, it stopped. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere, and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Sure, I'm happy that you tuned in today, and I want a special reach out to KKLS 104.7 FM and 920 AM in Rapid City, South Dakota. Let me hear from you if that's your neck of the woods. Remember, Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you every Saturday morning for 2 hours from 10 till noon Eastern Time on your favorite local AM and or FM station, or both in the case of KKLS in Rapid City. And we're videocast in HD for our social media at watchbobbylive.com. Okay, Ray, I have a question for you, and
Yes,
I would appreciate a yes or no answer. 2 questions, actually. You told me that you pull the cap, not off the radiator, I think, but off the reservoir, and it's full.
Off the radiator.
Oh, okay. Well, the car has a reservoir, so you shouldn't pull it off the radiator.
Well, the mechanic had told me to check to make sure the radiator had fluid in it, and that's it cooled off.
Okay.
I took it off, and that's when I saw the coolant was up to the top.
Okay, so and actually, on a radiator, in that case, when it's cold and cold only or cool, you loosen the cap and let it spring pop up. You do not have to remove it, because the minute you pop it up, it'll start to spill over.
Yeah, it didn't do that.
Well, when you took the cap off, how full was it?
Right at the top.
Okay,
good. I mean, just on the inside, but not up to the cap, but right on the...
yeah, okay, all right. So that's okay. So you put the cap back on. Now, the reservoir, where does the level ride there?
Between high and low.
Okay. So, and you've not had to add any coolant?
No, they haven't added coolant in a long time. Never, ever, as far as I know.
All right. You don't have a problem.
Uh-uh.
Well, you do have a problem, but it's but well, hey, thanks for riding. You know, hey, you admit it. We have found the problem, and the problem is us.
But Bobby, talking about walking by the front of the car, I wasn't touching the car. You could just feel the heat.
I know.
Many times I would just, when I get out of the car, I go to the door.
I'm
with
you.
I walk by the front of it.
I know.
I've never felt it this way before. Actually, my wife commented first on it.
Well, yeah.
How hot it was just walking in front of the car. And that, plus the fact that the heat indicator doesn't show anything. And another thing, that when I would crank it up in the morning and go somewhere, within 2 minutes, the heat indicator would go from cold to normal in about less than my mile, and that's unusual. It usually doesn't do it that quickly.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Well, here's what you may have a thermostat sticking. I mean, it's possible you could have a thermostat sticking, because when you turn the engine off, you see, when you turn an engine off, the cylinder head combustion valve area will and the head's running 230 degrees will bump up to 600 degrees. If you take any automobile that you've been driving and stop it and go in the mall, you'll have a temperature rise of 30 degrees. Right. So that is, and why? It's because you got a heat generator, the engine generating heat, and you got water circulating, taking the heat away. So all of a sudden, you shut the engine down. Well, the heat is still rising, but the water's not circulating. So yes, you'll get a rise in temp. That is normal. Likewise, you come back out of the mall, you turn the key on, the temperature is 30 degrees hotter, but the minute you fire the engine, it goes down below the thermostat opening because it gets a shot of not so hot water. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to call me back, but I want you to monitor it. But just know that if you're not adding, and ultimately you could replace the thermostat. And if I were you, if I were as worried about this as you are, then I would replace the thermostat and be done with it. And I would recommend that you use the Motorrad thermostat, MOTORAD, MotorradUSA.com. And I'd put a thermostat in the vehicle just to see if it changed anything, because you're mentally worried about this. You and I have joked about it, but you are. So at least do something that's inexpensive so that you can at least say that I've done something and see what that changes. Is that a deal?
That's a deal.
Go do it. Let me know. Let me hear from you after the fact.
Will do, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. So folks, here's the bottom line, and this is what I have shared with my crew for my 47 years. And yes, last Sunday, March the 11th, was my 47th year in automotive service. I'm really proud of that. So here's what I tell my crew. if a customer comes back with a complaint on a job that we did, regardless, and so often you hear, well, the car runs fine to me, technician, oh, the car runs okay to me. How many times have you been to a dealership or an independent shop that you paid to fix your car and you don't like the way it runs or something's not right, and you go back and then they go drive the car and come back around, well, it's okay with me. Really? And so I say this because it's the way we run our transparent service shop, and it's what I have ingrained in my team. If a customer comes back with an issue, regardless of whether there is a real issue, that person thinks there is, therefore you should address it as though it is real. Leo in Texas, you're a very patient fellow, so thank you for holding. You're welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. It's your turn.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
I have a 2006 Coachman Encore Sports Coach.
Yes, sir.
With a Freightliner chassis. And it's got Alliance batteries in there. They're Group 31 1,000 CCA batteries.
Okay.
And, of course, Alliance I can't find around here. I do have where I've found Interstate and Powertron. And there's about a $40 difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you might have a recommendation on which one.
Is either
I know you'd rather want me to have a Bosch rather than these, but
well, here's the bottom line: are either one of those batteries AGM?
I don't believe so.
Well, see, if I were in your shoes, gosh, I didn't know you had this big of a machine. I used to have a 36-foot Chatsworth motorhome. Sports coach motorhome made in Chatsworth, California in the mid-'70s. I loved it. I only put 40,000 miles in 10 years. But the bottom line, a friend of mine owned another one, and we became friends because he saw mine parked in front of my shop. And he came to me years ago and said, oh, guess what? Firestone's got a forever battery. And I laughed, and he laughed. He said, well, I'm going to get one. I said, great. And Firestone had to give him 6 batteries because, nothing's forever. And neither was the Firestone forever. But the bottom line is, back then we didn't have AGM batteries. I would guarantee you in my motorhome or my vehicle, large vehicle, I would only install an AGM battery because they are superior to an acid-filled battery. And I don't know if that can be lit. Why don't you do this? Go to autobatteries.com, autobatteries.com, and check out the availability at Auto Batteries. And I know that I favor Bosch, and I also favor the powertrain grid technology by Johnson Controls. Now that's two different promotions, but that's 2 different companies, and I use both those type batteries. But I would, in your case, only use an AGM battery because you've got an elephant there that you need to sustain. Sustain is the word. So go to autobatteries.com and check out what's available, and then feel free to call me next week and discuss. And in the meantime, make me a note, Jonathan. And this week, let me do, Leo, some of my homework this week. Again, and also let me put you back on hold because I would like for Hannah to get your email address, and so that we can communicate, because that you have a special need and it's out of the car line. So I want to be able to give you and get you a better product than what the factory came with. And it's not about the money. It's about longevity and all those other sorts of things. So I really appreciate you. Where are you from in Texas, by the way?
Northeast Texas in Longview.
Longview. A lot of calls we get from there. Hey, thanks for your call. Let me put you. So Fabio, let's put him back on hold. Thanks, Leo. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And folks, happy St. Pat to you. Jim from Nebraska, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I called you about 3 months ago on a Chevy Volt that I have, a 2017 Chevy Volt.
You did, talking about miles, yes.
Yes. Well, boy, you got a good memory. I guess I found out what's wrong. One thing, GM is not going to do a thing about it.
Okay,
they kind of told me.
All right, Jim, before, not to interrupt you, but just briefly let our audience know why you called. It was the fact that okay, you say it, because it's better coming from you that you had lost MPG on this vehicle and it never really delivered it was like 24. Does the number 24, am I remembering correctly?
Well, no.
Okay.
I leased a 2017 Chevrolet Volt.
Yes.
When I leased the car on the battery power on the EV, I could get 53 miles to a charge, and it wasn't just that the meter on the dashboard said 53 miles.
Yeah, it was the speedometer.
The way I drive from point A to point B every day, it is 53 miles.
Got it.
This is what I was getting. I received a recall from GM having nothing to do with the EV. I took it in for the recall. While it was in there for the recall, they did an update. And after I got the car back, instead of getting 53 miles on a charge, I got 41 miles. And that's where I'm setting. I have gotten in contact with GM. Up until last week, I had a lady that was very helpful, helping me with my problem, but they did nothing. I mean, she talked to me, which was nice. It's always nice to have somebody talk to you.
Yes, sir.
But they did nothing, and they pretty much told me that too bad. That's where it is now, and that's what it's going to be, because we can't change it back. But I did find something out. This lady at GM made me an appointment with the place where I leased the car. I went back in. They checked the car over. Probably did a lot more than they did when I complained, and told me that my battery was charged 100%. They could find nothing wrong. But while I was there, I got in the face of the service manager, and I asked him, and I kept asking him, what did this update do? What was it for? What was the purpose of this update?
Right. Yeah, right, exactly.
And finally he got angry at me, and he said, well, what do you want to do? Have your car start on fire? And that's what he told me. Apparently, and he kind of looked at me strange after he said that.
Oh,
and he wouldn't say it again.
Oh, so he followed up by oops.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really. Well, here's okay. So what? Where are we now?
Where are we? I called back to the lady's name is Jacqueline that works at GM. She's a customer service specialist of some sort.
Right.
And I spoke to her, told her what had happened. She said, well, we're going to try to get you a new car, try to trade cars with you.
Okay.
A couple of weeks had passed, and she called me. She called me back. During the call, we were cut off. Nothing was said. Nothing was said. Nothing had really gotten said. She just more or less said that this call is going to be recorded, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We got cut off, and I have been trying to get hold of her for 2 weeks now to find out what she had to say. And every time I call, all I do is leave a message, and no one calls me back. So I don't know what's happening. But I still am. I'm still down on my mileage.
Okay.
I'm a little better than 41. I'm back up to 43. But nothing has happened.
Okay. Well, I can only say to you is that I would be persistent. I would continue to leave the message and explain that you're not going to go away, and that you would appreciate a reply, the courtesy of a reply, and reach down in the regions of your heart and say, you know, I'm not going to go away. So don't go away. That's the only thing I can say. I will say this as an aside. Elon Musk gives directives not to charge his cars 100% 24/7. Only time you charge your car 100% is when you're going on a highway, because a 70% charge, and I could be wrong, it could be 65 or 68, it doesn't matter, but a moderate charge of 70% on an average is the norm, so that you have a battery that lasts longer. That is not the challenge with you. Obviously, what they've done, they've changed the state of charge, because obviously there was some overheating, and with the music, I got to go, Jim. Stay in touch. Be persistent, as I said. Folks, thank you so much. I mentioned earlier, tune in next week, and I'll finish the rest of the story. Bye-bye.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Today's question: what makes up your engine's cooling system? The cooling system is a part of the engine that regulates engine temperature and helps prevent breakdown from overheating. A typical cooling system is comprised of the engine's water jacket, a thermostat to regulate flow, a water pump, a radiator that exchanges the heat to the outside air, and the connecting hoses and tubes. The cooling system is designed to remove excess heat to keep the inside of the engine at an efficient operating temperature, approximately 201 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooling system has one major purpose: to ensure that the circulation of the coolant inside the engine can absorb and release heat. The proper mixture of coolant coupled with a high-quality thermostat are critical to cooling system operation. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle, on the road or off, leading the way in coverage and service. For more details, go to motorradusa.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. You're